Now you'll notice that in our scriptural account, David is actually going to get anointed at least 3 different times. So you'll notice the first anointing was many years ago under the hand of Samuel. Then you come to 2 Samuel chapter 2, and it says in verse 4, the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. So that's where we were talking when there's this conflict between David and Ishbosheth, he gets anointed a second time. And then if you go to chapter 5, verse 3, after he's overthrown Ishbosheth and the group up north, if you look at chapter 5, verse 3, it says, so all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. Did you notice the pattern here? God chose the little shepherd boy, the least, the youngest son in his family, to be the king, and the prophet anointed him. Then later on, when many years later, he gathers the tribe of Judah around him, and the people of Judah anoint him. It's their sign of, okay, we've accepted you as our leader. And then in chapter 5, now all of the elders of Israel, the whole kingdom combined, the elders of that group now anoint him. It's this symbol of coming together and of acceptance of this covenant or this protectorship. You're going to now, we take you as our leader, you are the anointed. And remember what the meaning of the word anointed ends up being in both Hebrew and Greek. It's Mashiach, Messiah, and in Greek, Christos, Christ. These are little symbols, earthly metaphors for the real anointed one, Christ. And he invites all of us. Now the anointings aren't reserved just for prophets or priests or kings like it was in the Old Testament. Now he invites all to come unto him, to become anointed, to enter into that covenantal connection with him in the temples of our God. Everybody who's willing and worthy to make that covenantal connection with God is granted the promise that they too can be anointed.
I like the fact that we can connect this to Jesus. He's been anointed by the Father to be our king. So just like David had been anointed by a prophet, God's earthly representative, to be the king, the people eventually had to choose to accept the king. And when they did, there was peace in the land. The civil war went away. So think about our lives. If we accept Jesus as the anointed king, he already has been anointed. But are we willing to accept him as the king? And if everybody is willing to accept him as king, then peace begins to reign. So we see this pattern going on even in the Old Testament, that God works with people and invites them to fall in line or come into agreement with what he has already declared to be good and true.